Sometimes our pieces can block each other, and we need to clear up some lines.
Thanks, Oliver. In this lecture, we're going to be taking a look at a fascinating tactical idea called clearance. Now, what exactly is a clearance? Let me show you with this first example. Here, Black's king is a little bit exposed, and White would just love to put his knight on e5 and fork the king and the queen. Unfortunately, the queen is over here on the e5 square. It doesn't really have any good squares to move to, because if we make a move like queen to d4, freeing that square, clearing that square for the knight, then Black is going to go bishop to g7, and now that square is under control, our queen is on, and if we play at knight e5, well, obviously he's going to take. So that's not good enough. But we do have another interesting move. We can actually sacrifice our queen for the rook, even though that rook is protected. Now look at the e5 square. That square has been cleared, and that means the knight can go here, check, king here, and then we take the queen. Yes, we've lost the queen, our queen, but we've won his queen, and on top of that, we've also won the rook that we took on h8 on the first move. In this position, the original position, what we had to do is clear the e5 square, square clearance. Let's see another example. Alright, in this position, Black seems to be doing alright. Yes, the king is a little bit exposed, but those pawns are protecting the h-file, and if necessary, the king can always come to g7, and it doesn't look particularly risky. However, White's got a winning move because he can go g7, which not only attacks his rook, the move g7 clears the g6 square for the white queen. So it doesn't really matter what he does now. If he takes with the bishop, we're just going to go queen to g6, checkmate. If he takes with the king, pretty much the same thing. We're going to go queen to g6, checkmate anyway. A perfect example of a square clearance. Let's move on. Now, in this case, we're going to be learning about diagonal clearance. White's queen and bishop look rather threatening. However, if we make a move like bishop here, the king comes over here, and there's no good follow-up because our queen is on, and suddenly the king looks pretty safe on a8. So that's not good enough. However, watch what happens when we clear the f2 a7 diagonal, because this bishop here is in between. We wish that bishop wasn't there so that our queen could go all the way to a7 and deliver checkmate. And we can actually achieve this by clearing the diagonal, sacrificing our bishop. Bishop check. Oops, let me show you this again. Bishop check. Now, if he takes with whichever piece, queen or rook, then we go queen to a7 checkmate. So he must play rook to c7, but it's not going to help because we just take that rook for free. And if he moves his king, then, well, I guess we can go queen here, and White's got a winning attack. For example, if he takes, then we go bishop here, discover check, king here, queen check, king here, and the rook comes down and delivers a quick checkmate. So that was a very nice move, bishop to e5, clearing this diagonal, the f2 to a7 diagonal. Let's see another example of diagonal clearance. And here we go. In this position, White now played rook to a3, which looks like a little bit strange move, because White seems to be giving up his rook. However, the whole point is now the knight can come to e6, and then this diagonal is clear for the bishop to come to h6 and deliver checkmate. Don't forget that the rook on g1 is controlling all the g squares, and even if he takes with the pawn, this bishop controls the f7 square, and that's checkmate. So in the original position, we had to move the knight and the rook out of the way so that this diagonal was clear for the bishop to come to h6. Very nice example. Let's move on. And this time we're going to be seeing a file clearance, a very interesting idea. Now, White's got two rooks versus two rooks, and then he's got a queen against just the bishop. However, Black is actually winning this position thanks to a beautiful idea of file clearance. Black now played rook to g6, double exclamation mark, threatening checkmate. And there's nothing White can do against that check other than take on g6. But then the h-file gets opened up. We've cleared the h-file for the other rook. And now the other rook is going to come to h8 and deliver checkmate. Don't forget the king cannot go to g1 because the bishop will take it. The bishop is controlling that square, you can't take the king. And if we go rook f4, obviously Black simply takes and the rook is going to come here anyway. So in this position, after rook to g6, Black is winning. Beautiful idea, sacrificing a rook just to open up a file, to clear a file for the other rook. Fantastic idea. And let's see one last example of file clearance. All right, here we go. In this position, it's White to move, and at first sight, we can play rook to h1, rook f to h1, and deliver checkmate next move on h8. However, that move would be completely wrong, because now it's Black who clears the a file by sacrificing his queen. Then he can use the a file, and when the king comes to a1, he goes rook to a1, checkmate. When the king comes to b1, I meant. And then rook a1 is checkmate. So that's a winning position for Black, obviously, if White does nothing. Or if we play another move like queen to c1, which looks very good because White's saying, okay, even if you sacrifice a queen, I can block the rook check with queen to a3, and at the same time I'm threatening to bring my queen to g5 with a quick checkmate. However, Black can still sacrifice this queen, and then after queen a3, he simply takes and brings his other rook to a8 and delivers checkmate. So that's not good enough. So what's going on here? Well, White can actually use the h-file to win very quickly. Double exclamation mark, giving up the rook. The king takes, we deliver a check, the king goes here. Practically the same position, but watch. Beautiful. We sacrifice, and now the h-file has been cleared of the two white rooks so that the queen can finally come to h7 and deliver a quick checkmate. Fantastic idea. Beautiful idea. I hope these 6 examples show you how interesting clearance combinations are.
Please subscribe, or I'll hit you with my walking stick.